Bitcoin is crashing. Are we going to as low as 50K? Okay, guys, so back with another video. I apologize for missing a day or two there. I have an issue here with the apartment I'm staying in Southeast Asia, so I have to move. It's a long story. If you guys want to know more about it, I'm going to post a video explaining exactly what's been taking place here in the Philippines on my second channel, Tariq Pierce 2. So you can search for that, or you can find, I'm going to link to my second channel description below. I'm going to upload a video on that explaining what's going on here. So, but I don't want to talk about that type of stuff on this channel. We're going to talk strictly about basically crypto and financial independence. So let's get right into it, guys. Bitcoin has crashed. Wow. Yeah, Bitcoin's crashed a ton, guys. I'm down a ton. Okay, over the last, I'd say, 24 hours. We're going to talk about what I believe took place. Okay, there's been a lot of negative things on the technical side of Bitcoin, a few negative events, and an FOC meeting that's coming up later today at around it's around Wednesday at around 2:30 p.m. So let's talk about all this. You guys enjoy this content, please smash the like button. So first off, why is Bitcoin down? Well, remember, guys, I was hyping up those Bitcoin ETFs, okay, that were from Hong Kong, okay. So those were really supposed to really help bring in a lot of money from Asia. But I've done a lot of reading, and they've really disappointed, okay. So during the first day of those Bitcoin ETFs that launched, it was big disappointment, okay. The first day, the trading volume was just 11 million on the six ETFs, a big disappointment. There wasn't a lot of money flowing into these products, okay. Now, obviously, we know the United States Bitcoin ETFs performed a lot better. Since the US ETFs have been around, they've pulled in around 11 or $12 billion, according to CoinDesk. And I'm going to link to a couple of the sources here. There's been nowhere near as much money coming from Hong Kong. Okay, and that's because a lot of the mainland China investors are having a hard time accessing these Hong Kong Bitcoin ETFs. I don't know. It could be too early to decide what's going on, but $12 million in the first day. It's very disappointing. Okay, so I think a lot of people were excited for that. But when we launched the U.S. Bitcoin ETFs, we did sell off from around 51K down to 40, and then bounce back much higher. So maybe it'll be something similar like that. Okay, the second indicator, negative indicator, was simply the RSI. Okay, so Bitcoin's performing pretty poorly on the daily RSI, but right now it looks like a perfect time to buy. Okay, the daily RSI sitting around 32, and I believe Bitcoin is well oversold. Usually we have a couple of 20 to 30% retracements throughout. Bitcoin in general, it's done this many times, and it's nothing new, but usually we need a pullback in order to go much higher. So the thing is, I haven't sold anything. Okay, I haven't sold any of my Bitcoin, any of my Mara stock, nothing. I haven't cashed anything out. So we're going to know about the Riot earnings that are coming up Wednesday, pre-market at 8:30 a.m. So by the time you guys see this video, the Riot earnings will already be out. I'll probably do a follow-up video because I think that Riot earnings announcement will kind of give us some insight into how some of the other Bitcoin miners are going to perform. But yeah, I can see right now a lot of people are discouraged, okay, especially for some of you guys that this is your first cycle and you guys bought around the halving date. Okay, we're down around 11 to 12% from the halving. So like I said, I've been in this game for 5 years now, and I know that Bitcoin has a habit of really shaking out the weekends. And it's going to do this. It's going to sell off 20 to 30%. This is what Bitcoin does. But if you kind of back up a bit and look at the long run, like I talk about those 63 to 66% compound annual growth returns over the last 10 years annually. This is the game you want to be in. So it's just going to be some rocky rides, and your account in terms of USD will be down. Okay, it was up a lot. When we were up at like 73, 74K. Now it looks like a lot of people are dumping or getting out. So maybe they got in around the halving hype, and now they're running for the exits. And that makes sense because, if you're sitting on 20, 30% losses and this is your first cycle, I can kind of understand why a lot of people just don't want to be a part of this anymore. But we have to understand that the halving did occur, and a lot of this is short-term FUD. I'm going to explain why. So there's a really important FOMC meeting coming up. Okay, with the Fed, they're going to discuss monetary policies, inflation, and stuff like that. I think a lot of people are dumping ahead of that meeting, but once again, this meeting doesn't really affect Bitcoin in the long run, in my opinion. This is just short-term noise. So we're going to see what Yellen and all of these people have to say about inflation. We know inflation is bad, and Bitcoin is supposed to be a deflationary asset. So I just wonder if this sell-off has anything to do with Bitcoin, or it just has to do with the overall macro economy and how people are kind of worried about inflation's getting out of control. We already know inflation's out of control. But the good news is that Bitcoin is literally trading right where it was back at the beginning of March. So it's been about 2 months, and we're basically back where we started. We ran up past 58K. Now we're back at 58K. So like I said, for those of you guys that bought in earlier or a few years ago, you know what the deal is. I really want to emphasize, and this is not financial advice, but it's really, really, really important to understand that Bitcoin shakes out tourists. What I mean by that is people, like, there's two types of Bitcoin holders, in my opinion. So you have tourists, which are basically, they're trying to get more fiat, right? So they maybe need to pay off some bills, or they lost their job, or they have an emergency. And the whole goal for Bitcoin for them is to just get more fiat, buy Bitcoin, have it go up, sell it, and then have more fiat. And then the second type of Bitcoiner is someone that wants to hold a deflationary asset that outperforms everything else. So, like I said, this is still new to a lot of people. This is a new type of money, and there's going to be volatility. But as I'm saying, I bought Bitcoin in 2019, and I've been buying it over the last 5 years, and I held my Bitcoin when it was 16,000. So if Bitcoin now is 58,000, I have no reason to sell it because I held it all the way from 69K all the way down to 16K. And the reason I did that was because I really believed in using Bitcoin as a savings account. To me, it's more than an investment. Obviously, when I first got started in Bitcoin, it was an investment, but now it's a savings account for me. So if you guys can make that shift and get used to seeing your savings account fluctuate, but know over the long run that the Bitcoin halving will create a supply shock. It might not happen right away. There's a lot of FUD in the markets right now. But over the next couple of months, 3 to 6 months, if Bitcoin continues its historical pattern, we will be well over 100K. I even have a running bet with one of my clients. He bet that Bitcoin will be under 100K by the end of this year, by September 24. I took that bet in a hurry simply because Bitcoin's done this before. Sometimes after the halving, it goes down a bit, but we know historically there's the daily issued supply went from 900 to 450. Bitcoin is still an extremely scarce asset, and yes, it's volatile. But at the end of the day, this is the risk you're going to take when you're dealing with 21st century money. Okay, if you want safety, buy a CD, put your money in a high yield savings account, get your 4 or 5%. You're good. But if you really want to kind of escape the rat race, if you want financial freedom, you're just going to have to hold through these tough times. And like I said, this is a great time to buy more. So if you can figure out a way to get your hands on some more money, Bitcoin looks a lot better at 58K than it does at 65, at 73K. And it's just important just to have a long-term mindset with this. Now, if you guys are tourists, I can't tell you where Bitcoin is going to go. It's like I said, it looks oversold on the daily. I really don't think it's going to dump that much lower than the current levels, but maybe it does hit 50K. If it hits 50K, I would be really trying to figure out, maybe even taking on a loan to buy more Bitcoin and really try to basically stuff my bags at this unique opportunity. I'm going to make a future video about that, about borrowing money to buy Bitcoin. It has risks. It can work out. I think it's better to borrow money to buy Bitcoin than it is to use leverage, because leverage you can just get wiped out. And I bought a lot of call options for Marathon Digital stock heading into earnings. So I'm down on a lot of those options. But the good thing is I put most of the money in long shares, so I'm not down that much. But like I said, guys, we'll see how this plays out. All this red, I'm pretty sure most of the bears are obviously celebrating right now. But at the end of the day, you guys that are new to this movement, don't make the same mistakes I did. If I had known what Bitcoin was going to do back in 2019, I would have put almost every single dime I had into Bitcoin. And my finances now are doing great, but they would be so much better if I just understood exactly what Bitcoin was. And hopefully you guys are watching this video. That's why you're subscribed to my channel. You want to know more and more about Bitcoin, learn how to become financially independent. It can be done, but you need to basically, you need to grow a pair and you need to be able to hold through these reds. So, like I said, haven't sold anything. No reason to sell anything. Maybe I'll lose some money on those Marathon Digital call options. It's a couple $100. I'll be okay. So we'll see what happens here. We'll see what happens with the fair, the Fed FOMC meeting, and that's at 2:30 Eastern Standard Time. And Ryan's about to report earnings, so I'm about to go listen to that call right now. So I'm going to cut this video off. So like I said, guys, if you enjoyed my content, please smash the red subscribe button and let me know, what do you guys think? Are we headed to 50K or lower? This Bitcoin crash has been pretty crazy.